You are 14 years old, and you are the Emperor of Rome. Not a prince waiting for his turn. Not a general's son being groomed for power. Not someone who fought for this, planned for this, earned this through years of careful political maneuvering. You woke up one morning as a priest in a Syrian temple. By evening, your soldiers had killed the previous emperor and put you on the throne instead. That's it. That's how fast it happened. One day. One decision made by men who needed a face for their rebellion and chose yours because you were the right bloodline and the right age, and you were there. You are Elagabalus. You will rule the most powerful empire on earth for 4 years. You will throw the Roman Senate into chaos, offend every general who served under your father, and spend the treasury on things that will make historians argue for 2,000 years about whether you were insane, revolutionary, or simply the first person in Roman history who refused to be what everyone else needed you to be. You will be dead at 18. But first, you have an empire to run, and you have absolutely no interest in running it the way they expect. Let's go back to before the throne. You grow up in Emesa, in Syria, a city built around a temple, and the temple built around a single black stone that fell from the sky. The stone is your god. His name is Elagabal, the god of the sun, and you are his high priest. This is not a ceremonial title. You actually do it. Every morning before dawn, you are at the altar, performing the rituals, dancing the sacred dances, wearing the robes that your family has worn for generations. The robes are silk. They are embroidered in gold. They flow when you move. You love them. This is the first thing Rome will never understand about you, that the robes are not a costume. They are not a performance. They are simply what you wear when you are doing the most important thing you know how to do, which is honor your God in the way your God requires. Rome has its own gods. Rome has its own priests. Rome has very specific ideas about what a Roman emperor is supposed to look like, supposed to wear, supposed to care about. You will find all of these ideas completely uninteresting. The soldiers come for you on a morning in 218 AD. Your grandmother Julia Maza has been planning this for months. The previous emperor, Macrinus, is unpopular with the Syrian legions. He cut their pay. He lost a battle. He is not of the right family. Your grandmother has been quietly reminding those legions that your mother is the niece of the great emperor Septimius Severus, that the blood of the Severan dynasty runs in you, that you are 14 years old and you are standing right there in the temple every morning, visible, available, the right face at the right moment. The soldiers look at you. They see a boy in silk robes dancing before a black stone. They see the Severan bloodline. They choose the bloodline. You become emperor before breakfast. The messenger arrives at the temple while the morning sacrifice is still burning. Your grandmother is already planning the journey to Rome. Your mother is crying, though you will not understand until later whether from joy or terror. The soldiers outside are cheering a name that is not quite yours yet, the Roman name they will give you, the name of your god, Elagabalus. You look at the burning altar. You think, I have to finish the ritual first. You finish the ritual. Then you go to become emperor. Rome sees you for the first time and does not know what to think. You arrive in the city in 219 AD, and the entrance is something. The historians will record it with the careful language of people who are trying to describe something they find deeply uncomfortable. You are wearing full Syrian priestly robes, silk, gold embroidery, the long flowing sleeves that move like wings when you lift your arms. Your face is painted, kohl around your eyes, color on your lips, powder on your cheeks. Your cheeks are also naturally smooth, naturally soft, the face of a boy who has not yet needed to shave and is in no hurry for that to change. The crowd stares. This is not what a Roman emperor looks like. Roman emperors look like generals. They look like the statue in the Forum. Square jaw, short military haircut, plain toga, the universal costume of Roman male authority. They look serious. They look like they have killed people and are prepared to kill more. You look like you just came from a religious ceremony. Because you did. Because that is what you are. Because the thing they put on the throne was not a Roman general wearing Syrian clothes. It was a Syrian priest who now technically owns the Roman army and has no particular plans to change anything about himself to make them more comfortable with that arrangement. The Senate meets. They look at you across the chamber. You look back at them with the large, carefully painted eyes of a 14-year-old boy who has been told his whole life that he is the representative of the sun god on earth, and who sees no reason why that should stop being true just because he is now also the emperor of Rome. The meeting does not go well. Here is what you do in the first year. You bring the black stone from Emesa to Rome. Not a copy, not a representation, the actual stone, carried in a golden chariot pulled by 6 white horses, while you walk backward in front of it the entire way, so the stone is never out of your sight. You are its priest. You go where it goes. You build it the most expensive temple in Rome. You tell the Senate that Elagabal, the sun god, is now the chief deity of the Roman Empire, above Jupiter, above all of them. The Senate writes this down in their records with the specific silence of men who are choosing not to say what they are thinking. You host banquets. The food is extraordinary. The historians will later list the dishes with the barely concealed envy of people who were not invited. Flamingo brains, peacock tongues, fish served in blue sauce to look like the sea. You send the same dish to different tables and insist that each table gets a different version. One gets real fish, one gets painted wood carved to look like fish, one gets fish made of glass. The joke is unclear to most of your guests. You find it very funny. You throw roses. This is the thing that somehow ends up in the historical record right alongside the political catastrophes and the military disasters. The roses. You fill the dining rooms with them, floor to ceiling, so deep that some guests cannot get up when the evening ends, drowning in petals while you watch from above and laugh. The Senate is not laughing. The Senate is watching their new emperor throw roses at senators and wondering how long this is going to continue. But here is the thing they do not write about in the official histories. Here is the thing that Cassius Dio and the Historia Augusta mention in the careful, clinical tones of men who have decided that accuracy requires them to record this, even though they find it deeply disturbing. You want to be a woman. Not as a metaphor, not as a political statement, not as a power play or a deliberate provocation designed to shock the Senate into compliance. You genuinely, privately, persistently want to be a woman. You wear women's clothing in private, not the priestly robes, actual women's clothing, the stola, the palla, the things Roman women wear. You ask your doctors to perform a surgery that would make your body match what you know yourself to be. They refuse. You offer them enormous sums of money. They refuse again. You find this genuinely baffling. You are the emperor of Rome. You have given them everything they could want. Why is this one thing impossible? You take a husband. His name is Heracles. He is a Carian slave who became a chariot driver, and you see him in the arena one day when he falls from his chariot and his tunic rides up. And that is the moment, that specific, accidental, completely undignified moment when you decide that this is the person you are going to marry. You marry him. You refer to him publicly as your husband. You refer to yourself publicly as his wife. When he hits you, which he does, the historians record this too, the specific domestic violence of a slave who has somehow ended up married to the most powerful person in the world. You show the bruises to your friends with what the sources describe as pride. My husband hit me, you say, in the same tone another woman might use. The Senate reads the reports from your household. The Senate has been patient. The Senate has tolerated the stone and the temple and the roses and the painted face and the banquets and the silk robes and the appointment of a chariot driver to the position of prefect of the Praetorian Guard. The Senate begins looking at your cousin. His name is Alexander. He is 13 years old. He wears plain clothes. He speaks respectfully to senators. He has the right bloodline. He looks like what they expected. Your grandmother sees what is happening. Julia Mesa has been the real power behind everything from the beginning. She is the one who chose you, managed you, placed you on the throne, and then spent 4 years managing the consequences of that decision. She is not a sentimental woman. She is a woman who understands power the way other people understand weather, as a force that exists independent of feeling, that must be navigated rather than argued with. She tells you that Alexander must be adopted as your heir. You resist. You know what it means. An heir means a replacement. A replacement means they have already decided you are temporary. You are 18 years old, and you are temporary, and the institution that was supposed to be the most permanent thing in the world, the office of Roman emperor, is already being used as a waiting room for whoever comes next. You try to take it back. You announce that Alexander is no longer your heir. You try to have him killed. The Praetorian Guard refuses the order. The Praetorian Guard has been watching you for 4 years. They have carried out the orders about the temple. They have managed the situation with Hierocles. They have stood outside doors while things happened inside that they will never put in their official reports. They have been patient. They have been professional. But they will not kill Alexander. And now they are looking at you the way they looked at the previous emperor before they chose you instead. You see it. You know what it means. On March 11th, 222 AD, the Praetorian Guard kills you. You are 18 years old. You are in a latrine, the historians specify this, with what feels like deliberate unkindness, when they find you. You try to hide. There is nowhere to hide in a latrine. They kill Hierocles too, in the same place, at the same time, ending both of you together in the least dignified location in the palace. Your body is dragged through the streets of Rome. The historians record that crowds watched, that some threw things, that there was no mourning, not publicly, not that anyone wrote down. Your grandmother, who chose you and built you and spent 4 years managing the consequences of that choice, does not appear in the sources after this. She had already shifted her attention to Alexander. She was a woman who understood power. Your body is thrown into the Tiber River. The black stone is sent back to Emesa. The temple is repurposed. The Senate erases your name from as many official records as they can reach. This is called damnatio memoriae, the condemnation of memory, the formal Roman process of deciding that a person did not exist. It does not work completely. It never does. Because Cassius Dio wrote it down. Because the Historia Augusta wrote it down. Because the specific, uncomfortable, unignorable details of your 4 years, the roses, the stone, the silk robes, the husband, the bruises shown with pride, the doctors who refused and refused and refused, all of it got written down by people who found you disturbing, who wanted to use you as an example of what happens when the wrong person gets the throne. And in writing down their warning, they preserved you. 1800 years later, you are still here, not as an emperor, not as a warning, as something the ancient world did not have a word for, and the modern world is still arguing about how to name correctly. You wanted to be a woman. You said so. You lived so. You spent 4 years as the most powerful person in the world and used that power, among other things, to try to make your body match what you knew about yourself. And when the power of empire could not accomplish that one thing, you showed the bruises to your friends and called Hierocles your husband anyway. The Senate called you a disgrace. The historians called you insane. 2,000 years later, people are still arguing about what to call you. And the argument itself is proof that you were something real, something that existed, something that the categories the ancient world had available were not built to contain. You fell from a chariot in a Syrian temple at dawn and rose as a priest of the sun. You were put on a throne by soldiers who needed a face and chose yours. You threw roses until the guests were drowning. You were 18 when they threw you in the river. And Rome, the eternal, the serious, the square-jawed and plain-togaed Rome that knew exactly what a Roman emperor was supposed to look like. Rome remembered you anyway, against its will. That's how some stories work. They refuse to be forgotten, even by the people who most want to forget them.